Thank you very much, Lizeka. I'm going to give Duma to deal with Itala here in KwaZulu-Natal because the people of the country won't know Itala. And is also the MEC deployed by the ANC. So to what Sam Kele asked, Duma will deal with that point. Lizeka, the power of deployment in terms of JC and the emails and all of that. The members of the ANC and Integrity, who have clarified that point. ANC members who did not appear in the Integrity Commission are before the Disciplinary Committee. So the DC, when it deals with the matter, it does it without the cameras. So we have reported on that. The matter is before the DC. All those members who did not appear before the Integrity Commission, their matter is before the Disciplinary Committee. A decision of the Integrity Commission which was adopted by the National Executive Committee. The NEC have adopted that. So there is nothing that like the ANC does nothing to integrity, including to its members who appeared before the Zondo Commission, and Zondo Commission took steps, suggested, make recommendation about those members. The ANC have taken steps in relation to its members. The state must act and do its job without fear or favor in relation to Zondo's recommendation to investigate individuals. What we don't subscribe to is kangaroo court, where in which we want to become the state, and within the state we want to become the courts and punish people without the due process. Where the state institutions undertake the course of prosecuting people, they are free to do that. It's not gonna be about whether you are ANC or not ANC. But in relation to ANC members and them appearing before the Zondo Commission and what the Zondo Commission said, 90 of them who did not appear before the Integrity Commission, their matters have been deferred to the Disciplinary Committee. And as the Secretary General, implementing the decisions of the NEC, that has been done. I'm clarifying this now for the, I don't know, the longest of time. I think what we are waiting now is the judgment of the DC on these members. So we don't have it. The DC is processing these individuals. 90 people is not a child's play. And some of them, their membership of the ANC could have lapsed. And they will not even probably appear before the DC or whatever that's the case, and so on. But that matter is being processed. What was the issue about the deployment power? No, it's not correct. The deployment committee task is very simple, is to deploy in relation to what is before it, and it processes those matters that require deployment. It doesn't hold anybody accountable. Accountability and accounting, it's a political matter that belongs to the ANC structures, including holding the president accountable. That task remains the task of the NWC, the officials of the ANC and the National Executive Committee, which they account to those structures as and when they are called by the office of the SG whenever it is required, and then to give reports and to appraise the ANC on various matters. And that includes the president, who as the president of the ANC, again, briefed the ANC and take the ANC into confidence on various matters in his purview as the president of the African National Congress. So the deployment committee, in terms of its mandate, doesn't have a mandate to convene people on operational matters and micromanage the state. We don't do that. The deployment committee deals with deployment. And let me explain the issue of deployment. The deployment committee does not decide in terms of the state, in particular government, for instance, or parastatal, who to employ. It encourages its members to apply, and those who've got the requisite skills. And that is it. And those members compete with the rest of society. And then the state organs or whatever state institution or whatever will then make a determination on the basis of what is before them. Now, in terms of our records, you will realize that on each deployment, we recommend Nomvula Mbalula. It might happen that in terms of the fielding and the interviews, Mbalula fails. And then that's it. So it's not a micromanagement. So the intricacies of how deployment happens, it's a policy implementation. And how it gets to be operationalized by the deployment committee is that the deployment committee then look at the state and influence the state in relation to mobilizing within its ranks the best of the best to apply for particular positions within the state and wherever deployment is actually required. Power of the deployment committee, does it, I mean, for instance, the question you're asking, do we employ? It doesn't. It cannot. It doesn't have such powers. If you are a member of the ANC and you are a deployed cadre, you function within the parameters, and then you do what is expected of you. And then in this particular instance, in those deployment, you implement what is required of you in terms of the party policy. For instance, when the ANC win the elections, when you are within the public service, you are a DG, you implement the policy of the ruling party. Even in government, we invite even the DA in the Western Cape within cabinet and even Makhotlas. They understand that the policy that is being implemented is the policies of the ANC in terms of its manifesto. So you don't become creative and bring your own things that are not a mandate of what the people seek to see out of a government that they voted into power. So that's what basically happens. The deployment committee doesn't fire DGs and all of that and dismiss people and all of that. It doesn't. That will be rogueness. It will be what we characterize as encroachment, and at the same time micromanaging the state. It means we will now effectively be determining what must happen operationally within the state. We don't do that. You are deployed, you are expected to do what is right. That's it. So that's how we understand it, and that's how it has been happening. Cadre policy. The president of the ANC, let me quote again in Debu, says at the Zondo Commission, it is the ANC's view that the practice of cadre deployment should not be inconsistent with the principles of fairness, transparency, and merit in the appointment of individuals in public entities. Cadre deployment cannot be faulted in principle. It is a common feature of democratic practice around the world. But we would concede that there are weaknesses in its practical implementation that make the case for greater clarity, both within political parties and the state. We have said that at Zondo Commission. We have admitted that. Inherent, you will find that there is abuse and all of that, doing things that are not consistent with what we want to achieve. We want people who are qualified for the job. well-trained, understand, conscious of what the ANC and the people of South Africa have mandated us to do through the manifesto. And therefore, this is what we expect from the Cater policy. And we have also admitted the weaknesses of the movement in relation to this particular matter. You will find that in Kisvatar and Moyani and all of that. I'm not sure whether Kisvatar and Moyani are deployed by the ANC. But for your case, as you have singled out as an example, I'm saying to you that the processes that lead to the appointment of those deployment committee is sensitive, not to be seen to be micromanaging and at the same time undermining those particular institutions. So where a person is deployed and is a disgrace, you can have a person who's a doctor, well qualified. When it comes to work, they are lazy. What do? It can happen in the ANC, it happens the world over. In terms of people who are deployed, they are expected to do the work, but they don't do it. And some of them get astray and do wrong things. That does happen. So it's a question of you deploy the best and you expect them to perform diligently and all of that. I can tell you the ANC deployment has produced some of the best director generals over the years. And we have never been found wanting and have produced the result. And to transform South Africa from an apartheid state to be where we are today, these are some of the best individuals who can give an account of the good work they've actually done. I've quoted for you all policies of the ANC up until 1994, RDP, preceded by Ready to Govern. And then in the implementation of those policies, these comrades and our cadres have been very diligent in terms of that work that they've done. DA Records, Ati, from Russia, with love. DA Records, I mean, they will deny that they have such. They will tell you that they don't deploy. Everything happens on merit and through superstition and all of that. By luck, we find somebody good. It's not true. They deploy their own. They took their MP from Parliament and deployed as the city manager of Cape Town because they believed he's the best. That's what you do. We never faulted them on that. We never said, no, this guy doesn't qualify for this and so on. They took him straight from Parliament to the city of Cape Town, made him a city manager. So the only problem with them is that they are hypocrites and that they are dishonest. And they play politics where they shouldn't play politics on matters of principle, like the question of deployment. It will be interesting if we ask them their records, whether they will be able to give us. We don't know whether they will, but we know that they do deploy. It could be as well that their deployment is decided by two people. It's done in secrecy. And we are open. Our biggest challenge here is that we are too open. Otherwise, if we were operating as a secret party, I'll be standing to you, I don't know. I've never seen. We're not saying that. I'm giving you history. And they've challenged deployment policy. It's not secret. And I've given you principles, historical background. It's not a secret movement. It's done. And we're defending the principle in the court in terms of the records. And then now they are nitpicking out of the records. They distort this and that. And this is whom they deployed. This is what JC said and the letter and all of that. The ANC racketeering. The judiciary in this country, there is what is called Judicial Service Commission. I mean, Malema is a superstar there in that Judicial Service Commission. He's a superstar. He holds judges accountable. Yeah, men are very, very trembling there. They are asked serious questions. It's on television. It's a movie. Wonderful movie. And nothing is done in secrecy. You come here now and say, no, ANC interferes. These people, men and women who are appointed, they are not known where they come from. But Justice Maya, you know, ANC people made a mistake and put Justice Maya on a poster. And then they said that this is what democracy has delivered. We have a first black woman. Oh, Mama Wabantu had to clarify herself. Hey, ANC, how can you do that? We had to apologize to her. And then here is the ANC claiming judges. We don't claim judges. We are just reflecting. That bench, that constitutional court is black. It's black. And go and look at all of them. Human rights lawyers, their background. Chaskalson was the first. It's still mystery to me why Museneke was not made, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, that's my personal view. Before I'm attacked by Nomvula and called to order, let me skip to the script. So the point is that we have had the best of the best. Judges up to Mukhweng. And Mukhweng to be a judge, back and forth. He was interviewed. Everybody gave him names and all of that. But guys, as a judge, he was good. There are good judgments he has done. Politically, I don't agree with him. Politically, as Mukhweng. His views are very extreme and so on some of the things. But as a judge, I hold him in high esteem. I'm not the lawyer. But some of the judgments I've read coming from him, without fear or favor, they've been good from the bench, and many other judges. Now, we have actually transformed the judiciary. It is very strange, Samkele, let me come to your questions. Regressing in parliament. You know, we are dealing with Hlophe. Some of the people who criticize Hlophe are saying he will never go home hungry today. You saw yesterday, Malema. He said Hlophe will not go home hungry. You are on Twitter, don't say you didn't see it. And then we were not there, me and Nomvula, we're not officials. When Hlophe was being challenged on his ethical conduct by political parties. Some of them today are hypocrites who are saying that the ANC is conniving with the DA. When a judge, very good judge, make misjudgments and does things that are not supposed to be done, and unfortunately it happened to be a black judge. And then you say the law must be blind because Hlophe is black. The rule of law must not be upheld. Where will this constitutional democracy go to in the next couple of months and years to come? It's going to die. Mbalula must not be charged because he's the SG of the NC. If he does something wrong, Ramaphosa must not step down if he's found wrong in terms of the law. Jacob Zuma must not be held accountable. And the list goes on. It doesn't work like that. Rule of law, which is a cardinal pillar of the national democratic revolution. Once the rule of law collapses, society collapses. Now, they've gone through a rigorous process. They started challenging him and then raised the case. Some of them are vacillating. They've changed with the wind. You know, Mandela says, if you change policies on the basis of the constituency, you fail, not on principle. You are not a leader. When you meet people and you look at them, you think they want death penalty. You go out and then you come back with, Sizayifaki death penalty bagit. Those people will never vote for you because you are a liar and a populist. You are not consistent. Principle teaches us that you must stand for what it is right, even if the majority don't agree with you. That's it. It doesn't matter. We have agreed with the EFF and many other political parties in that parliament, and who have even extreme views that they want to erase the ANC surgically. Floyd says that. Surgical removal. We don't want to see the ANC. Even if it means we will work with the DA, as long as it is not the ANC. He says that. But these hypocrites, they will change tomorrow and say, the ANC worked with the DA, and you believe them. They have worked with the DA when we lost power, when we were crumbling. When we brought ideology to them, they said, we don't eat ideology. Go away, Mbalula, and swim. I was there, talking to them. I've accepted that. These politics are the way they are. Today in South Africa, it's a multi-party democracy. And then you can work with everybody. But we as the ANC, we know the dangers of coalitions and all of that. And we don't want to find ourselves having to kneel to right-wing and conservatives. It's unfortunate that we could arrive at the decision of Hlophe, but that is what we voted for in 1994 through our constitution. Unfortunately, that's what we voted for. Now, if you read and you listen to people, Judge Hlophe, what they say about him, from that corner of the Eastern Cape, Transkei, University of Walter Sisulu today, which produced the best minds, legal minds, up to Ngugai Tobi, the best lawyer in the Republic today, the best judges you get in the Constitutional Court. They come from the hands of Hlophe, and some of them worked with him. They were colleagues. When they talk to you about his understanding of the law, you reminisce. And the fact that we can come to this point, not on the basis of his ability to think and to understand the law, but behavior. You fall in life, not because you couldn't think, but you fall because of misjudgment. And that's why people apologize and step aside. Powerful people, because they made erroneous decisions. And it happens. And it happens with Hlophe. And there's no way the ANC is going to flow with something that undermines the rule of law. And that is the point. So we stand where we stand. And we are not delighted. We don't celebrate it, but it's got to be done because something has been found there in terms of this individual. Judge Mutata, shame, he went in through a wall, and a judge, sober, this thing that judges, I'm sober as a judge. Mutata just changed it overnight, and it was a something, Kandine judges here phuza madoda. And then, but it is painful. Now the deployment, how does it function? The deployment committee meets and look at different areas of deployment, strategic. We don't deploy street vendors, and we don't deploy kitchen garden people and all of that. Strategic deployment, it means what is key. What is key to drive the economy, the civil service, the country in a particular direction. You think before you deploy, does this person qualify for this? And that's what is important. Now, we don't deploy supply chain managers. We don't deploy chief directors. We don't deploy, what is this? Everything below that. No, we deploy strategic deployment. That's why DGs are not permanent. Their term is 5 years. And if in that 5 years they happen to commit things, they will be held accountable. They are not there permanently. Meaning the next administration can still have its own DG if we are out of power and all of that. But the fact of the matter is that it is strategic deployment for a reason. We deploy DA people. We don't look at people as DA. We look at their qualities. But we come to learn after that they are DA through their own verbosity and what they accentuate in public, that they are ideologues, they are right-wing. We learn after, but we deploy people with capabilities. You make reference, which I'm not going to comment to that, about somebody who have plunged us into this. You do get failures and factory faults in the process. Even in politics, you do have that. A person you trusted with your life just surprise you over time. So don't put faith on individuals, put faith on principle. Because individuals can disappoint you. And that's what is important. So even in the civil service and the deployment, that is the case. Yes, there are people who have run institutions to the ground. That's correct. And it's not the case of the failure of deployment. It's the failure of those individuals. The question is, do we have checks and balances in terms of those institutions to deal with those failures? You don't have to prolong a matter when you see a person in a particular institution is failing to run an institution. And then because he's a deployed cadre or is one of our own, you keep that person. A person must go. And that is what is important. So boards are there for that reason and all of that. News 24, WhatsApp group. I mean, these things are the past. We have responded to those things. In court, we have responded to the DA. We have given them what we can give. We don't have a WhatsApp group now of deployment. Me and Nomvula, we are the team of deployment. We deploy in the ANC. It's chaired by Mashatile. Now, how many people who have deployed today, I don't know. So we don't have a WhatsApp group. So I think you refer to the past. We have given the DA what was there in the WhatsApps, and that's it. Where we don't have, we don't have. So we have given them. Huh? We have given them WhatsApp groups, WhatsApp conversation. MK Party manifesto, they launch every day. I'm sure when we leave here, there is a launch or a motorcade outside. So I don't know even what you mean about that. There will be a manifesto of MK this weekend. Next week, there will be a motorcade when we leave here. Leave it, my sister, is democracy. As long as there is no violence, we are happy. And we have said to our members, you must be tolerant, you must tolerate these things. Politically, we'll correct each other about distortions that have been peddled by our former president. We will do that, but we don't want to spend time on that. It's really eating in our energy because that project is a project of our opponents to want to weaken the ANC. Will it weaken the ANC? We don't know. Does it have influence? We don't know. We do what we can. But we didn't think in our wildest dreams we'll be in KwaZulu-Natal, everywhere in the country, talking about Zuma as opposed to us. We thought we'll be the same force, in the same direction. Now he has strengthened the hand of our opponents. He has. And he doesn't think like that. He doesn't see it. You see, when you say, I want to rescue the ANC, but I'll do it with your opponents, including your enemies, to rescue it from what I believe has gone wrong in the ANC. It doesn't work like that. Because you are collaborating with the enemy. You are collaborating with the opponents of the ANC and you think you can rescue it. You can only rescue the ANC from within. If you believe that something wrong ideologically and otherwise has gone wrong in the ANC. If the ANC fails, Zuma will account for that. He will have contributed to its failure. I'm happy to confront Stian Hazen and all his people. But if we fail, because there are people who believe in him, And there are opportunists also who are with him, who stand to benefit positions, patronage, and all of that. Their era of patronage that they benefited from is over. And they think they can get it through MK Party. And that is where they go in their numbers. Look at them and look at their names. And that's why there is a manifesto every weekend, because there's nobody in charge there. Because it is a party that was formed for a particular mission. And I will explain as time goes. The truth about MK is not what former President Zuma is saying. He knows. It's not about Cyril and all of that. It's not that. He knows. He knows the truth. Like him, ngizokhuluma ngenye ilanga. So khuluma baba, so ikhuluma lonto. Yeah. And then what did we find in Russia? Russia, we found friends there. There were 50 political parties, and the ANC and the ZANU-PF and many political parties in Africa and the world over were there. We're with Medvedev. Did I meet Putin? No. Medvedev, yes. Russian party, yes. Many other friends. China was there. Brazil was there, and all of that. So we met many friends who think alike. It's a meeting of minds and all of that. We are not government. We are the ruling party. So don't every time we go to our friends in the world, go to Naledi Ningamlalis. Ugut, hey, what is... He doesn't speak for ANC all the time. He speaks for the country. So when we go this way and we go that direction, we represent the ANC and what the ANC have mandated us to talk about. And then the last point, Lunga, DA deployment release. And I don't know what you want us to do. Matsela Koko and Brian, were they deployed? I don't have that in the records. I don't have such records that they were deployed, so I don't know. I've given what I've given. So I don't know. So deployment of DA, release the DA deployments. We've got no such obligation to release anybody's deployment. We will ask them a question with time. We do have information about DA deployments, including the bodybuilders they are deploying everywhere. You read about it. It is exposed by you. So we will compile that and ask them, how did they get where they are? You will see them. They are going to deny that they ever deploy them. So they must answer the question under their administration. How is it possible a bodybuilder can hold such a position in the government of the DA in Tshwane? There's a bodybuilder there. There are many of such who were there in the government of the DA in Tshwane, even in Cape Town. Lastly, my sister, you ask about MK Party and the research. There are many polls. There are many polls. Polls are there to influence. We understand that. Let me tell you this, and I conclude by saying this. I was an ANC head of elections for some time. I was part of ANC machinery of elections. Even when we got 2/3 majority, I've never gotten a poll that says ANC is polling at 60% or 63% or 65%. It always put us 40 and below. Now, if we can stand and call a press conference and argue with these faceless people who say that Zuma will be president, he's popular than Cyril, it's a poll. Hey, there is a poll that came and it shocked everybody. It didn't last up until Sunday. They said Zuma is popular than everybody. I said, yo. And then the Chonabafundi Zagange bathethe nangayo. Yatula Yachoni poll. There will be another poll this weekend that says something else. But Tina, who work on the ground with our people, our machinery, we don't focus on arguing with polls. We argue with polls after, with the percentage on the board. We argue with the polls after, with the percentage on the poll. Every weekend, if we will be sitting and preoccupying ourselves about the polls, I've been everywhere, Nomvula deployed me in a very short space of time, from India and everywhere. In these countries, advanced democracies, people take polls very serious. Hey, we just saw a poll. Do you think the ANC will come back? I have to explain. And these polls, hey, they are coming fast and thick and fast every week. I'm sure as we're speaking now, there is a poll that says that this rally will not reach a quorum this weekend. It's not going to happen. And let me tell you, the rally, the capacity of this stadium is 75,000. We didn't say we will, we say the stadium takes 75. We have taken care of disaster. We're expecting a lot of people here, more than 70, and all of that. But should that happen, people will be allowed in the pitch, and they will also be allowed in the overflow. We are catering for that. But the stadium, mology, and the argument about stadium to be full or not, we are not there. We are sure that the enthusiasm and coming to Durban, actually we're coming to Durban for the second time now. When we launched in 2019, we got 57%. So Moses Mabhida has been a good omen to us. And then we're coming now to launch for the second time our campaign in Moses Mabhida Stadium. And we don't know this time around whether it will be a good omen for us and so on. But it has been good to us. And the people have turned up in their numbers. It's been very peaceful, joyful, and all of that. So we're looking to a Razzmatazz Hamdinga that is coming this coming weekend.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jola, for affording us this opportunity. Revolutionary greetings to your good self, Comrade SG, Comrade DSG, Comrade Mamkize, Comrade Spokesperson, Mahlengi, Ngolosi, Comrade PS, Comrade Langamandla, and the 40th state that is present here. Once again, I think we all agree the presentation that was done by Comrade SG, which was imbued with clarity on some fundamental matters and pillars of what we have to understand. There was a question, Comrade SG, pertaining to Ithala. And I don't know, it's twofold. It's either the issue of cognitive dissonance. On Tuesday, we were appearing before Parliament. The entire Parliament cohort, including Dr. George from the DA, has agreed, not in principle, on two matters: capital adequacy ratio and liquidity ratio of Ithala. Everything is okay. We've got 2.5 billion at the level of the bank. The bank is doing well as you speak. So it is on the verge of collapse. I think we have to dispel that myth because it must be understood as such. And it has been perpetuated over some time by media, even when we give the clarity. If you go and check the sentiment of the honorable members, which was shared by Honorable Maswanganye, they have agreed that on the issue of Ithala, things are okay. What is the problem with Ithala? In December, the partnership and alliance with Absa Bank came to an end. It was terminated. Then it means that Ithala does not have the license because all these years it has been operational on the exempted status of license. I'm sure you know what has been inserted at some point in time within the certain section of the law that nationally is the one that has that competency as we speak currently. And unfortunately, we were not given a lot of clarity as to why Absa is pulling out. It meant that we must start afresh the process and apply and look and advocate for the new alliance, whether it is going to assist. As you know, the issue of the banking sector, if it doesn't have the license, it means that you must partner with someone with a full license, as you know, the issue of the competence of the bank. And we are currently almost on the tail end of finalizing with the license alliance, and things are looking positive. And we want to challenge the 40th state, when you get time, please get closer to the process, because it is the Prudential Authority's competency on issuing the license. It is the Prudential Authority that also delegate who is going to be the RA in the process. Ithala is still taking deposit. If you have money, Itala, it is still safe. Itala, over the last 15 years, under the watchful eye of the ANC leadership, it has never even begged for a cent from the state. It has been sustaining itself, just to prove that it is an institution that is working. I just wanted to clarify that, Comrade SG. Thank you so much for affording us this opportunity. And we are glad that Moses Mabhida has been chosen by your leadership, your character leadership, Comrade SGO and the President. Thank you for choosing Moses Mabhida. We are not going to disappoint. It is going to be filled in capacity. The people of KwaZulu-Natal are yearning and ready. And where we are seated, we are going to deliver the victory for the ANC. Thank you so much, Comrade SG.